Hello and welcome to the Watchin It podcast. On today's show, Robert says 3:30 is just too early. Donnell thinks maybe everyone doesn't need to be making everything videos. And on Severance, Howdy Irvin's up to something.
Oh, yeah.
Howdy Irvin is up to something.
Oh, yeah.
All that and more. I'm your host Donnell, and with me as always is Robert. Episode 2 of Severance.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
We got a name for this
Right.
episode?
We do. So last week's episode was Hello, Miss Cobell. This episode was Goodbye, Mrs. Selvig. Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know what any of that means, but yeah. So far, the first 2 episodes, at least title based,
I mean, she did
based
leave.
on her character. Even though in the first episode we didn't even see her. Didn't see any of the outer world actually in the first episode. This time we didn't get to see any of the innie world.
I liked it. I liked that they did it this way.
Yeah. I also, this is the first time. Other than like a little glimpse, this is the first time really seeing the outies of everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Besides Mark. Like Mark in season 1, it was solely Mark.
Yeah.
We got to see the outie of. We saw a little bit of all of them at the end of the very last episode, and then I think we got to see a little bit of Irving painting in one of the other episodes. But overall, really didn't get to see the outies of the other characters, so I'm liking that.
We get a lot of Helena.
Yes,
Yeah, a lot of Helena.
So in my mind, I have decided that Helena is the outie and Helly is the innie. That's the way I refer to him, like looking at it.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
With Mark, it's Mark both sides.
Yeah.
And same with like even Dylan and Irving. But no, because Helena is such a drastic class with who she is in and out. We're like, while Mark and both Marks have
I think they're all
different
kind of different people.
They're all different people, but what I'm saying is like, I could see Mark and Mark meeting up and having a beer.
Yeah.
Helena and Helly would kill each other. Like, that's the thing is like, they're all different people, but Helena and Helly are complete opposites.
That'd be a cool episode if they had a conversation. Like each of them had a conversation with their innie selves.
Yeah.
That'd be very interesting. I think like a really crazy revelation to me in this episode, very early on, was the realization of like, wait, the outies took over. Sorry, the innies took over.
Oh, yeah.
The outies thought they were safe.
Yeah.
But they can be violated just as much.
Yeah.
Like they're used to being in control and being able to turn the innies on and off.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, the innies can turn the outies on and off.
Well, yeah, and that's where you realize like they think they're in control, but it was and they also think it's solely location based.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Mark's like, what do you mean? And stuff. They do say it was in the small print. But then the other thing that also I find very interesting, because I mean, this is jumping ahead, but in this episode they fire Dylan and Irving.
Yep.
And the thing I kept thinking about is like, you still have that chip in your brain. Like they didn't. There was no taking it out. And also, I'm like, now that we know, like it's not a location thing. Like, oh, you got the chip, but if I never go back to Lumen, I'm fine. But it's like, no, it's not. It's a switch somewhere.
Yeah.
Meaning they could at any moment.
Yeah.
And like you were talking about, like people being like multiple severed. Like that's where I'm just thinking, like, yeah, like who knows what Lumen could be doing with people where just flipping it on and off to like. Who knows what? Who knows what your other innie, if you have other innies, like I said, I mean, this is always go to, but like maybe one of your innies is a world-renowned assassin who goes around and kills.
Well, I mean,
like
that,
all sorts of stuff.
To the like theories from the first season, they're turning them into. They want to turn them into assassins.
Yeah,
that they can turn on and off.
Also, they're all over the place already, but Mr. Milchek's license plate. That said, what was it?
Oh, like? Yeah. So Milchek has a motorcycle with an awesome helmet.
Mm-hmm.
He has a license plate instead of the state.
Yeah.
It says, in place of the state, where it would normally be, it says Remedium Hominibus, which means a cure for mankind.
Yeah.
Which is
part of me
crazy.
feels like Lumen, like, because it very much at the end of last season, and then I see them doing PR. It seems like Lumen really wants to get severed like technology more out than just working on the floor and some other stuff. Where I'm like, a cure for mankind, maybe like control. You know, mankind is flawed because of all our different things.
If it's covering up the state name, maybe this is like a company town.
Yeah. Oh,
and they control everything.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely getting that feeling.
Because like Irving's apartment complex, it is called the Lenora Lake Apartments. And like we see when he goes to Dylan's place
Mm-hmm.
that he's in a roundabout.
Yeah, with
That's
it.
shaped
I mean,
like a water drop.
They're all living
Yeah.
for sure in Lumen owned, because in the first season that Mark says like, yeah, I live in a Lumen owned neighborhood. So like he definitely, and I think all of them are. I think all employees probably like it's probably like a benefit they kind of pitched you like, hey, if you come work for Lumen,
Yeah.
you know, we got these nice little neighborhoods.
Well-
you pay a cheaper price.
Yeah, so the license plates, so it's not just Milchek.
Yeah.
The license plate on Irving's car and
Yeah.
Mark's car have that on it as well.
Oh, I did not see that.
No, that's information from the previous season you had to pay attention to. And
Oh.
they were just quickly when I was looking up like what it meant.
Yeah.
Like that, I kind of saw some stuff about that online.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So yeah, let's talk about Dylan and Irving real quick. Just
Okay.
get them out of the way.
Right.
So Milchek comes and he asks them about what happened.
Yeah.
Well, he talks to Dylan that something happened and there was
Yeah.
a violent thing, and he talks to Irvin to try and figure out like if anything
did.
had happened to
Because
him.
they don't know. Like I said, so like Dylan was underground and never actually woke up above ground.
Yep.
And from Mrs. Selvig, they knew where Mark was, so they knew exactly what he did. And then of course Helly was in front of
Yeah.
everybody. But Irving is the only loose string where they have
Other than Mark.
but they know. But what I'm saying is they know where Mark was.
Yeah.
They know his like range
Yeah.
of influence, in a sense, like where they have no idea what Irving did while
Yeah.
he was awake. He is the loose string. He is the one where it's like he could have went anywhere. He could have done
Yeah.
anything. He could have put a time capsule somewhere or something. That where with Mark, like, well, we know he was at his sister's house. Mrs. Selvig was with him for probably. They said in this show, they said they were awake for 38 minutes. I'm going to say
39 minutes.
or 39 minutes. I'm going to say for 20 of those minutes, Mrs. Selvig was with Mark. So they know there's 19 minutes of him being
Yeah.
free, but overall they still know where he is. Where, like I said, Irving is completely in the wind. They have no idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's trying to figure out
Yeah.
what Irving did, and then he's and he's letting them go.
Yeah, ends up firing both of them.
Yep. And what's I just was thinking about like just seeing the different reaction and kind of because I was wondering how, like I said, I was wrong about why Mark came back for one, but also just seeing like the different reaction to them being let go and also where they're at like in life, because like Irving is let go and he's more indignant and more, and it's because I think Irving is doing, like we already see him painting these pictures, he's doing
Yeah.
something, he's up to something, he is already onto Lumen somehow, but then also Dylan's response where he's just completely broken because like this is
Yeah.
his livelihood, this is his, he has a son, he has a baby also, his wife, and he's like, what do I tell my wife? And like, yeah, Dylan is desperate, like, because I was like, why would they come back? And then like once again, I kind of like said, now I see why they'd come back is like Irving wants back in because I think he's snooping somehow.
Yeah.
And Dylan is desperate. He's like, I have a family, I'm a family man with 2 kids, a wife, I'm the provider and stuff. So I was like very interested to just kind of see their different reactions to being let go.
Yeah, we get very little with Irving in this episode.
We get one other scene.
He does go to a payphone.
Yeah.
And he says something about his innie.
His innie
Like-
got the mess, or his something like his innie
Something
got
like
the
that, yeah.
message.
And we see that Bert is kind of stalking him,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Which I'm like, I can see it 2 ways. Either Bert is in the know, or like maybe with Lumen, or just, I mean, if I was like, we didn't get to see exactly what happened with Irving and Bert, but we do know like Irving woke up on Bert's doorstep, so Bert might just be following him because he's just like, who is this strange man who showed up at my house, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like if you were at home with your husband and a strange man was pounding on your door, but then when you opened the door, he had no idea why he was there, and was like, oh, I'm sorry. I might be a little curious why I might follow him to his house, be like, what the hell was that about?
We get a little bit with Dylan.
Yeah.
He goes to an interview.
I call BS
With
on
the
this
door
complete.
company.
I call BS as a man who is currently unemployed. You do not get fired, and within they don't say for sure that it's the next day, but even if it's the next couple of days, you do not have an interview lined up that quickly. But whatever, Dylan
I mean,
goes,
I think this is like in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
Late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Like timeline, because all the
Mid-80s
cars
is
are
what
from
I'm
the
kinda
70s,
feeling.
80s kind of place. So this is before the internet. I feel like
Yeah.
this is still when you could just walk into a place.
maybe, yeah,
and
they
apply
have a
for a
health wanted
job.
sign
Yeah.
up, and you just roll up, and
But yeah,
they sit you down.
Donnell,
Yeah.
what kind of door would you like
What
to
kind
be?
of door would you be? I mean, I already told you that'd be a revolving door.
Oof.
I feel like.
I feel sorry for the women in your life.
What type of door are you going to be, Robert?
Bookshelf.
Oh, hidden bookshelf
Yeah.
door. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mysterious.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
I feel like you could probably get the job with this book or this door guy.
Yeah, it was such a great scene with that interview.
That guy was great. I just loved how Dylan makes it like a door prize, and then he gets all serious. I'm like, you don't.
Yep.
You don't joke around.
Yep.
You don't joke about doors with this guy.
But
And I love also the line real quick where he's like, "Oh, you worked for Lumen." It's like, I hear they make their doors inside, in house. The hubris of those people. It's like this guy is that character. We'll never see him again, but I'm so glad for the moment we had him.
Great doors. Great doors. Speaking of great scene, this episode
Camera work.
Phenomenal. Not a single scene in this episode that was not amazing. Like,
I love the Helly
choreography and camera work and scene framing and everything. I mean, it's always been a show of good shots. This was a phenomenal episode of shots.
Yes.
Just from start to finish. Fantastic.
100%.
Really so let's I guess we talk about Helly now? Or do we talk about Mark? Because those are really like the two other main. They're real big storylines.
Yes. Let's talk about Helly because I'd like to talk a little bit about Mrs. Selvig.
Okay.
So yeah, we get with Helly, and we get to see. I mean, like I said, we got a taste of this at the end of last season. That she was the daughter of the guy in charge of Lumen. But we really get to see how much she's involved with this. Like I assume, like at the end of last season, it was one of those things like maybe she's she's just the daughter of the guy and he volunteered her to be severed, and then that's her extent. It's like she's like, she's related to the guy in charge. But we get to see like, no, she's running stuff. She is high up in the company, which is no surprise for being, the daughter of stuff. But also like I very much feel like she probably volunteered herself to be severed. Like they're like, hey, we need some good PR. We need something, and she was like, "Why don't I get severed and do the whole thing?" Like you can tell Helly, yeah,
Helena,
Ellie, but Helena, yeah, you can tell Helena has very much like we don't get to see any of this in the first season, but I just imagine she's very much been like monitoring this whole thing and running this whole thing from the get-go.
Not enough though, because I thought it was interesting when she's watching her innie, on camera, and they do the kiss, and like I'm like, you didn't watch that before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, it's the same night that the kiss happened when she's watching it. Because if we think about time.
Oh, that's true.
That's one thing we do find out is they have definitely lied to him. It has not been 5 months.
Yeah.
It has not been 5 months. And of course, all that BS about them being heroes above ground. Though, which we'll get to, Mr. Milchick does kind of sprinkle a little bit with Mark. But anyways, yeah, so it hasn't been 5 months. That's one thing. And yeah, she's watching that night. But it does allude to something they talk about in the first season, that they are so comfortable of the control they have on us that just the thought that they're watching keeps us in restraint.
Yeah.
That they're not actually. And so that, because I was like, they are openly talking about being free on the top side, Helly and Mark, on that footage. They're like, yeah, I guess we'll see what we are up there and stuff. Yeah. Where it's very clear what they were doing. And it's just one of the things that still's like, yeah, there's nobody watching the security footage. There was nobody watching security live while they were doing this, or else they would have been caught immediately. They would have been like, hold up, someone go get Dylan, go grab Mark.
Who was like Mr. Granger?
Mr. Granger, yeah.
Like he would have been watching, I think, if he was alive.
Maybe
they were understaffed,
but they kind of made it sound like, like I said, it's one of those things like that. How you can get complacent with things.
Yeah.
If everything is always working as intended, eventually you start laxing. I imagine that in the beginning. Yeah, Mr. Granger probably had like 3 guys, had his whole security squad, and he wasn't stuff. And then as time went on, they started, we don't really need these security guys. Mr. Granger can handle it all by himself and that sort of thing. Yeah. So like, I think, it's just one of the things of complacency.
Speaking of Granger, we're introduced to a new guy.
Yes.
New character. I think is going to be a mainstay throughout the season at least. Drummond.
Yep.
And he's got Frolic tattooed on his hand.
Yep.
We later see him. He's kind of spying on
Mark
and his sister.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of around in this episode.
Seems like
interesting character,
he's
like him already.
Going to be the new Mr. Granger, in my opinion. He seems like the new muscle in town. But yeah, so like I said, we get to have Helly. She meets up with. I don't know. I mean, what do you think her real name, or do we even know her real name, Mrs. Selvig, or is it
Harmony?
Well, we know her name is Harmony, but I'm like her last name because everyone calls her by her
Selvig.
Is Selvig her real last name, or is it
Miss Selvig, and then Miss Cobell.
Yeah.
Inside the.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So she meets with Mrs. Selvig or Miss Selvig, and basically I mean, I guess this is what I kind of got from it. They're kind of giving her one of those out to pasture sort of positions. Like they want her in the company because she knows too much, and they don't want her just free to do whatever. But they're taking away her power, on the severed floor, which has been her thing, giving it to Mr. Milchick, and they're
Putting her on the Severance Advisory Council.
Yes,
which she'll be creating and spearheading.
Yeah,
a new thing.
A new thing that is probably just busy work to keep you around. Here's a paycheck. I really like her response to it because it really shows. I mean, when we got this from both Helly and Selvig, like one is like whatever Lumon is doing, it is so much more than a company.
Oh yeah,
like this is some sort of weird cult stuff with Kier, and you can see that Ms. Selvig one takes it to heart. We saw a little bit of that in the last season when she's destroying destroying the shrines he had to Kier, but also like she sees herself as way more like, I guess devout is the word I'll say. And whereas like she is on a level, or in her mind, she's on a level of Kier worship where like, even though I don't think she sees Helly as below or Helena as below her, but I think she sees them as like near equals. And it's very clear that Helena and the company does not see her that way.
Yeah.
Which also angers her because she's like, what have I been doing? How am I not, of this level? But yeah, she says she's gonna think about it, which I don't believe she's thinking about it at all. I don't know what she's doing. I know if I was Lumon, I would be more concerned about her than Mark when it comes to.
I think she's definitely. I mean, because the episode's called by Selvig, and I think she's gone. I think she's left.
Like, what do you mean? Like left the show?
I mean, she might be back, but
I think she's going to be the crux of what part of Lumen's downfall. I don't know. Like that's my thing. Like I don't think she's.
But do you
think?
Okay, so she definitely left her house. But do you think she's left? Is she going back to work?
No.
Okay.
I think because in her mind, it's like I said. At least the way I read that position is that was very much intentional. We're giving you a promotion, I say with quotes, and it's more of like we need to keep you on a leash. And she, like I said, she views herself as a true, follower of Kier, and that's not right for them to treat her that way. So we saw a little bit of when she was pissed, and even when she was talking to Mark at the end, and she's like, "I thought you were leaving. Oh, how easily you're swayed." Like it shows that I think she's still a follower of Kier. I don't know how these are separate, but she sees Lumon as the opposition. Like they're not truly, they're not truly following Kier as it should be.
Interesting. They've fallen from the path.
Yes. False prophets.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where her story ends. Helena in this episode.
We get to see the also, which I kind of liked. We get to see the PR swing that they.
Oh yeah. She records the video where she's like, "I was taking a non-lumen
medication and alcohol, and I said some things in joke, but it was not a good joke." And I'm just like, "Oh, here we go. Here's that PR spin."
No, you need to pull from the Trump playbook, just like it never happened.
Yeah,
that didn't happen.
Interesting, actually. Another thing also is we also get to see her meet with her father, and the thing I find interesting because I'm like. And I guess it's just pushing the blame on somebody. He is very clearly pissed off at her and upset with her.
Well, no, I think my interpretation was that he thought it was still the innie.
Oh, he thought it was still Helly.
Yeah, and then when he realized it wasn't, and she said father, then he walked away.
Okay, maybe that's it.
That was. I mean, it could be both.
Yeah,
it could be both. He's not a good person.
Yeah, because that was my thing. Is it's like it's it's not her fault. He has no control over. What happened down there, but I could see how, because I do think Helena probably spearheaded this whole, me being severed PR thing that they were doing. And so I could see how he might see it that way a little bit of like, well, this was your project. Yeah. And look how it's gone awry.
Well, let's talk about the Mark storyline before we circle back to Helena.
Yeah.
And the end here. So it starts out with Mark. He's just woken up. He's at the reading. They've stopped the reading and they've sent everybody home.
Before we dive into Mark, Rickon,
the best.
this
best.
dude
Coming out swinging this episode.
like I said, while there is definitely a cult of Kier, there is a small split or small rival cult going with Rickon. Because just when his friends, like, I'm just like, who are Rickon and his friends? Who are these people? When the lady's leaving and she's like, don't punish the baby. It's not her fault. I'm like, who was going to punish the baby? I'm like, what is going on in your people's minds? Like, who are these? And then Rickon, just the way he's like, well, we can reschedule the reading for another. I'm just like, who is this man?
And then and there's like Devin is like, I think Rickon's right, and he's like, I agree.
I agree.
How? Devin is awesome.
I'm sorry. I need after
did
Severance
he put a
is
spell
done.
on her? Did he
Is he
entrap
black?
her?
Yeah. After
did
Severance
he
is done,
use a
I need
like what is it? Put her
hypnotism?
hypnotize her like.
I need that spinoff. I'm sorry. I need the how Devin met
The
Rickon
courting
story.
of Devin, yeah.
I need to know how these two. I mean, sure they could meet, but how do they come together? Why is she still with them? They're just like
incompatible.
I need answers. I need answers. That is one of the big mysteries of Severance that you wouldn't expect. But I was like, I need to know how these two. But anyways.
But yeah, and I mean, in the previous, at the end of the last season, he said she's alive.
Yeah.
But now they're kind of dealing with that. Like,
They're
what does she mean by that?
Yeah,
Did
what
he
did
mean
he
by that?
mean?
Did he mean Gemma, his ex-wife, or
Yeah.
sorry, his dead wife,
His
his
dead
widowed wife,
Yeah.
or did he mean the baby's alive?
Yes.
And like kind of dissecting
and
that.
Rickon and Mark are both kind of, they're trying to just, I mean, Mark, I think it's for two different reasons. Rickon because he wants everything back focused on him, and then Mark because I think it's just Mark doesn't want to deal, like, I feel like Mark was finally getting to a place, not where he's good, but just where he was getting to a place where, like, Gemma being dead was a thing, and he doesn't need that hope suddenly brought back into his life.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So that's why Mark is so adamant about like, yeah, it was obviously the baby, and the reason I was holding this picture was I saw it, Mark saw it, and then I got the revelation about the baby, so the picture has nothing to do with what I said, and so they're both kind of just trying to spin it off as that they were talking about the baby, but Devin, who, like you said, Devin is awesome, Devin is still like, but what if?
Yeah.
She's willing to kind of to play into this,
and it's about that time that Milchek stops by.
Yes.
I would assume he was planning to fire, or that was one of his options. But once he gets in there and he starts asking questions, he realizes that something did happen and something was said.
I don't think it's that. Because here's my thinking. My thing is,
I mean, it's possible. Go ahead.
It's a possibility, and I was thinking along that line too. That basically they wanted to find out what Mark did, but we also get some interesting allusions that Mark is more important than the other.
Possibly.
Because they say they need him focused to get the what was the Cold
Harbor
Harbor
file,
and then also like they specifically are like pulling together this team for him before they realize they can't. And like it's very clear they want Mark, like Mr. Milchek even comes back to talk a little bit later to talk him into, coming back, where it's like, no, this is targeted. They like, this is, instead of just letting them go. And like I said, I was on the same thought process as you. I was like, yeah, this is just because they're like, Mark said something, but they kind of get that information from, what's the new Granger, what's his name again?
Drummond.
Yeah. Mr. Drummond, from his spine. They kind of get, not fully, but they get enough of that information where I felt like they could fire Mark now, like, oh, he told his sister that, but they still keep pursuing him. We're like, I feel like we're going to find out, like, Mark is pivotal for some reason. I don't know why. And I think it's also what plays into why the whole Mrs. Selvig thing was going on. Like, I think Lumon put that in place. Like, even though I know they're spinning it as it was all her, I think that was part of Lumon's plan originally. Like, Mrs. Selvig, they wanted her near Mark for whatever reason.
I don't know, because she mentions, like, in the first season to Milchek that she's running a special test on Mark.
Yeah.
But not to tell anybody.
Maybe. Well, I'm just thinking because also, like, they even bring up in the first season with him and Gemma, like, how it's good that they don't recognize each other. Like, there's a lot more, like I said, with Dylan, like I said, we don't get to see as much with all the other innies, but still, with Dylan and Irving, they very much just seem like employees. Where with Mark, the fact that his wife is working down there and they're monitoring that, and Mrs. Selvig is out there, and then this episode, like, I feel like there's part of this show, there's going to be a revelation about something with Lumon.
I mean, we still don't know why he gets a little special, like, head thing.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe they're just trying to make him feel special and whatnot. Yeah.
I mean, why was Mark promoted above Irving when Pete left? You know, Irving was the most senior member, so why was Mark? Like I said,
make
just
him
questions.
feel special, keep him working.
Yeah. Just questions.
So the next morning, he's still kind of deciding whether what he wants to do. He ends up going to breakfast with his sister.
With
Nothing
Devin.
super consequential happens. They just argue about whether he should go back or not.
I will say though, and as a like, I'm just like, man, that's what he says to Devin, at least for me, it just hit me so like that's just dirty. Like to say that, like, well, yes, he was my wife. Like, okay, just because I'm not saying everyone feels pain differently and to different levels, but I was just like, dude, yes, he was your wife, sure, but Devin, like, it was very clear from the photos they had in their house, like Devin was close to her. Like, Devin was her friend. Devin liked her. And it basically put it like, and he even spins it where, like, if Rickon died, I'd feel sorry for you. Which, I mean, I get it. Rickon is a little much. But still, like, just him saying that, so I was like, dude, that is wrong. Like, I get it because it's him hurting. And also, like I said, it's that hope. He doesn't want that hope. And Devin is putting that in his life. But still, I was like, Mark, man, that's some cutting stuff right there.
Drummond, like we said, he's spying on him.
Yeah.
All that happens. I do think it's interesting that they went to go get food and all they got was water. And coffee.
Yeah.
No food.
They went to Pips again.
Yep.
Pips in this world is like your Denny's, I'm assuming.
Yep. We kind of a montage of Mark Milchek comes to visit Mark again.
Yep.
With the pineapple.
Yep.
And basically kind of talks him into going back.
Talks him into it.
Gives him a 20% raise.
20% raise.
I need to know how much they're making to do this job.
Exactly.
Because 20% isn't much.
Yeah.
There was a show that I watched recently that like a guy's like, oh, I've been working for you for 6 years and I haven't taken a raise, and the guy's like, okay, I'm going to give you 15%. I'm like, so a pay cut. Over 6 years?
Yeah.
15% is a pay cut. A significant one. You're still not making you're still not covering like inflation.
What was I going to say though? But here's the other thing to think about. I'm not trying to justify it, but also I'm just like, if you are working for Lumen in the severed department, one is you never actually have to work. Like, you lose those 8 hours, but for you never work. So I'm like, if I was being paid to never work in a sense, I definitely would.
Do you think the housing's subsidized?
He did say the housing is subsidized in the first season. Like, I think they still have to pay for it, but it's probably significantly cheaper. We're like, he has a decent sized house, nice looking place. I imagine, in real life, that probably would be close to like, I don't know. I don't know what state he's in. That's the problem. But looking at it, like if we're just saying like mid range, I'd say like probably like $450,000, and I imagine he's probably getting it for significantly cheaper. Like, and so that's where I'm thinking about is like the whole fact of Lumen. You lived in subsidized Lumen housing for cheaper, and then also the fact that you don't work. I imagine like they probably don't have to pay you much because like if
he's a doctor, right? Because he was a college professor.
Was he a doctor? I don't remember.
I don't know if he has.
I know
a PhD,
Rickon was a doctor,
but he's a college professor, so he's got at least a master's degree, right? In something. I would imagine he's a doctor.
Yeah.
I guess like Dylan, he doesn't really have a lot of education. He was just kind of like job to job, nothing real.
Yeah, when he's interviewing with the door, he says a lot of short-term stuff.
Irving was in the military.
Irving was in the military.
So he's probably got some schooling or something.
But, I mean, this is my thought is...
I would imagine...
Going off of Dylan as our baseline, as we see Dylan was just doing a bunch of random jobs. They said a lot of short-term stuff until we got to Lumen. Like I said, I'm not trying to insult Dylan's character, but like I said, probably not. Probably maybe a little bit of community college, but probably no degree, maybe associate's degree and stuff, doing a bunch of random jobs. And so this seems like a lower tier position. And I feel like Mark took the position because he wasn't really taking it for money. He was taking it as escape. And I feel like we're going to find out because I do think Irving did something. I feel like Irving took the position because he's searching for something. I don't know what yet, but I feel like Irving is working at Lumen to figure something out.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing is like, I think that's why Mark and Irving are in those positions is because, and of course Helly is there because she's a plant essentially. But I think just using Dylan as a baseline, I think this is like an entry level, low tier corporate job.
Anybody can take it.
Yeah. And then Mark is taking it because, he probably does have his master's, but he's just trying to escape. And Irving is taking it because he's like, I got to figure out what's going on in the Lumen.
Crazy.
And so I need to get in there.
So he does decide to go back.
Yeah.
We get a brief montage of him going in and out over a couple of days.
We get to see the new squad's outies, only a little bit, but still
yeah.
show up, and then also get to see afterwards when when they see the old guys like, I've been here for so long, don't touch me, I'll sue, and I'm like, yep, Mark got him fired.
We get the other side of the recording where he talked to the board, which I guess he did actually talk to the board.
Yep.
And demanded his old crew back. And apparently there's this
board.
Cold Harbor file, and Mark finishing it is important enough that they're gonna.
We need him long enough to finish Cold Harbor.
Yep.
So what they say.
They go and talk everybody else into coming back, and they say,
I like the part when they're sitting at the table actually, and they say they're like, we're gonna have to get their board has capitulated, and they're getting him his team back, and I just like including Helly R, like just the way they the way they said it, it made me think like I'm pretty sure Helena had, whether or not we still don't have a firm answer. I still do think she's not severed when she's down there, but whether or not she's severed or not, I think Helena had been like, oh, Helly R is never coming back again. Like, I'm pretty sure Helena was like, well, she's dead in a sense. And so when they said that, I think that was just like, for her, was just like, But yeah. So the board capitulates, and then we get this ending montage
where everybody's going back
showing up to work. And we're just trying to figure out if something happened different with Helly.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm back on the other side of the fence where maybe Helly is severed.
I don't think my whole thought is just knowing who Helena is. I just don't see any way she would let Helly back.
I mean,
If she could, and knowing that also, like,
I think it's a valid point, but they're definitely leaning hard into you don't know.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely like
you saw me. I reversed it. I'm like, let's close our eyes.
Yep,
and listen to the sound of people going down the elevator to see if it sounds different. What does this show do to me?
Yeah,
see if there's a different sound when Dylan and Irving go down versus when Hell goes down to see if you hear the
really couldn't hear
sound.
Anything, but. Yeah, like I said, no, I get where you're coming, because I'm still questioning it. I'm just leaning more towards I feel like it makes the most sense for her not to be severed. But no, I'm right there with you. I still question it because I'm just like, what's going on? Because we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on.
We don't know what's going on. It's a mystery show.
So we're fantastic.
Unwrap that onion. We do get a brief scene at the very end where I guess before that is it when he runs into Selvig. Is that before or after?
No, that's at the very end.
Very end.
That's
yeah. Oh, you're right. You're right. Where he comes home and he finds Selvig. She's packing up her car with some bags. He confronts her. She just kind of dodges his questions.
Yeah. But we do see he does ask her. He asks like, what was all this stuff? But he also does ask her what does show that Mark does have some doubts still in his mind. Like, he hasn't actually written off that, because he asked her, like, is Gemma involved in this? Or do you know something about Gemma, is what he asked her. So my thing is, like, it shows that Mark is questioning a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That maybe any Mark was talking about Gemma.
And she kind of gives it away, I think. And now that's probably why he ends up going back, is because she...
Well, he already been
true,
back.
True.
Yeah, he was already back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean... but maybe, will turn a little bit of his reasoning for going back.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Great episode.
Fantastic.
Again, amazingly shot. Just beautiful
fantastic
camera
episode.
work.
Great, amazingly shot. Love everybody acting in it. And just, I mean,
excited for more.
When it ends, I'm just like, damn it.
I hope next episode is just like all innie and then all outie.
You want to do like switch every episode?
I like it.
Do we know how many episodes we're getting of this?
Probably like 8.
Yeah, probably
like
8.
that.
I would love 10, but probably 8.
Yeah.
Man,
good times.
Such a good show.
Hey, if you like the show, you should check out our website, watchinitpod.com. There you can find links to our social media and to email us, watchinitpodcast@gmail.com. There you can also find links to support us financially and all those things.
Yep.
Donnell, what else should they do?
Well, if you haven't, go back. We released this weekend. We released our best of. I think it was a pretty good list of stuff we had there. I liked a lot of things. As we said on the show, great year of TV.
Yeah.
Great year of TV. Not so much movies, but great year of TV. So yeah, go give that a listen. Check out what we each picked. We got the Oscars officially announced, or not officially, but the what are the nominees announced. I mean, I will say this year's list, is not
I'm
the
not
worst.
as scared of it as I was.
Yeah, but every year
previous years.
does have at least one movie on there. I'm like, damn it, I don't want to watch that. And this year it's Wicked. I'm just like, damn it. But anyways, so yeah, we're gonna of course gonna be doing that. Got a couple of things I'm working on the backside, Robert, getting us some guests, getting us some interesting episodes. So just be on the lookout for all those things, and we'll be right back after this. So Robert, I mean, I'm the one who's unemployed, but even I feel like, what do you mean 3:30 is too
3:30
early?
is too early. But first, still working my way through Archer.
Yeah, yeah.
Just got through the breast cancer episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm liking it. It's funny.
Yeah,
It's got its moment. That Pam.
That Pam.
That Pam. She's growing on me.
See, I last week you were like Cheryl, and I was like, wait.
Cheryl's still my girl.
I know, but I was sitting there, I was like, wait till you get a hold of more Pam.
Yeah,
'Cause
when she gets beat up and she takes her shirt off, she got that back tattoo. I'm like, oh.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pam.
Yes.
Yeah. Good
Mhm.
stuff. It's all the supporting cast. That's the
Oh
best. Yeah.
Yes. No,
Just
the supporting
fantastic
cast
writing.
makes it. It's great.
Yeah. Throwing an anime. I'll become the villainess who goes down in history. Is the name of the anime.
Isekai.
Isekai.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
Atomi game.
Atomi. What's Atomi game?
Atomi game is where it's the you got to flirt with the guys.
Oh,
So
yeah,
there's
yeah,
usually like a heroine, and then there's like a villainous character that's trying to like sideline her from finding her love interest and
yep.
all that stuff. Girl gets she loves the game. She gets isekai'd into the game, and she's the villainess.
Okay.
And the kind of the twist is she knows she's the villainess, and she's going full into it. Everything she does is, I'm gonna be the villain. Everything she says is like, what is the most villainous thing I could say in this? And it's great and good fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good times. Yeah, 3:30 a.m.
3:30 a.m.
I've been watching a show.
Okay. All right.
No
That is too early. I
Yeah,
thought you were talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
3
Nope.
p.m.
3:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Too early. I have been watching a show called The Morning Show.
Ah. Yes.
Not to be confused with a show that would be like a morning show.
Yep.
It's a show called The Morning Show about a show within a show kind of thing of them making a morning show. It is on Apple TV Plus. How could I have doubted that it would be good?
Yeah.
It is fantastic. Jennifer Aniston.
And
One of her best roles I've ever seen.
yeah.
And Reese Witherspoon.
Reese Witherspoon. Yeah.
Which I've always been a fan of Reese Witherspoon.
Okay.
Never a huge fan of Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah. Me.
I've never really seen Jennifer Aniston do a lot of like drama, like serious drama. This is definitely a serious drama show.
Yep.
Yeah, about just it's a lot of palace intrigue around a studio and making a morning news show and all that stuff. Just really well done. It is odd because it's on its third season, got a fourth coming out, and confirmed for a fifth season as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it is in it. It started in like 2019, and the show's kind of been going since then. It is a trip down memory lane for sure.
Okay.
It really kind of like, it's very topical that it goes through the Me Too movement, and then COVID, and then the Capitol riots and all that stuff. So it's very topical. So if you're gonna watch it, just keep in mind you're going to be reliving the last like 5-6 years, which may not be fun for a lot of people.
Yeah. That's that can be a rough ride.
It's like the decade of hell that we've been going through.
Yep.
It's like, hey, let's relive the first half
Let's
of that.
watch that again.
Yeah. So just go into it knowing that. But yeah, it's just really well done and
Nice.
fantastic.
Yeah, I've always seen it.
I would put it
and I've always
in the B tier, which is by no means saying that it's bad.
No, B tier
but
is
it's
still
not
a solid.
It's not a Silo. It's
Yeah.
not a Severance.
No, but not everything's gonna be.
But
that.
it is really good.
And
Yeah.
I think it just goes to show, like I said, it just goes to show the quality on Apple TV.
Yeah.
Because it's like the fact that you have to justify a B tier show where there's plenty other channels that is like, if you had a B tier show, it's like, hey, good job.
Yeah.
And like I said, and still that, but like, yeah, no, I think they're everything. And I hate saying this so much. I want to make it very clear. We are not, though I wouldn't mind it, but we are not we are not attached to Apple TV in the same way. They are not giving us any money. We're not advertising for them. Also, B, I'm not a fan of Apple as a whole, like the company as a whole, most of their products. So it pains me a little bit to say this so often, but like they make some really good stuff.
Yeah,
they make some really good stuff.
They got that like their S tier streaming service.
Yeah.
Above all others.
Before I had started watching some of the stuff.
Can we tier?
You want to do a streaming
so
tier
Apple
list?
TV S.
Yeah.
Where's HBO? A tier?
A tier. I'm giving
A tier.
HBO
Netflix
A tier.
is C tier.
C tier. Yep.
What else is there? Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus.
That's a C tier, but only because they have commercials and stuff. But they've got all the Star Treks and what.
Yeah.
They've got some good stuff.
They
on
have
Paramount
some really
Plus,
good stuff.
But I don't like the app or whatnot.
Yeah.
Disney has got to be S tier just because of the amount of content that they have.
I was gonna put them at an A tier. I feel like Disney. I mean, it has
low
a
S, high A.
I see. The reason why I can't give it S tier is it doesn't have anything that makes me like literally. Well, I guess maybe Andor, because I'm about to say it doesn't have literally. It's something that literally makes me want to like stop everything I'm doing.
I think if you had
it.
kids, it's S tier because it's
yeah.
like
If you
can just
have
set 'em in
kids,
front of
Disney is triple S tier. Are you kidding? I have friends with kids; they can't live without Disney.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, no. Okay, I'll give you low S, high A.
Tubi S tier. No,
Tubi is a D tier, I think.
Yeah.
But you can find some gems in there.
Yeah. I don't know what other ones there are.
I got
that are
Hulu.
Okay.
I'm gonna give that a low C tier.
Yeah.
It's just a standard. But you could also see Hulu could also get an S tier because it's all tied in with Disney now. Like you can open up the Disney app and get the Hulu shows. So I don't know where Hulu falls anymore because it's attached to Disney. It's interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. But anyway, going back to it, when I say like it's a B tier show, I think it on like the power scale of like anime.
Mm-hmm.
You got like D tier.
Yeah.
It's still superhuman.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then, it just goes up from there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah.
Yeah. No. And I remember I've seen an ad for it before, and I was like, I should check that out. I never have, but it always looked interesting.
But anyway, it's very interesting, the morning show. It is really good.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's funny because they do a morning show that starts at, like, 8 a.m.
Yeah.
So everybody's got to be up at 3 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning to, like, get up, work out, and then go to meetings before and read copy and all that stuff before the show even starts.
You are living a different
doing that for years, and
lifestyle.
It is interesting how they talk about how it affects their lives, like because they can't have normal social lives because they've got to be in bed at like 8 o'clock.
You're rolling into bed at 8 o'clock every night, and there's no choice about it.
Or like,
I watched an actual documentary talking about from a morning show. Like I can't remember which one, but morning show people, and it's like all the people who are working that show. It's
show up at work at midnight.
Yeah, and you're like, you're living. You're not working late, or you're not working like night shift, but you are living kind of in that thing because, like you said, you got to do all your normal stuff. Getting up in the morning and showering and get yourself ready and stuff. But you're doing that so much earlier. I think it's very interesting that technically, like, if you're doing a morning show, you're living kind of nocturnally. Where if you're doing the late night show, you're wrapping up work at
it's interesting
6 p.m.
At
7
one point,
because they always make it very clear that like late night shows like, oh, we recorded this hours. You're watching this at 11. We recorded this at like 6. Like, it's just kind of funny.
No, well, they're doing live on the morning show, but it is interesting because at one point one of the characters is dating from the morning show is dating one of the evening news people, and it's just like we're just passing each other.
Yeah, I was about to say, when do they have time to date?
Yeah,
how are you dating?
The weekends, maybe.
I guess the weekends in that small window of time that you're both awake.
Steve Carell is in it.
Yep.
And his character is dark. His character is like very misogynistic, and like he gets me too'd.
Yeah,
and it is a very serious non-comedic role for Steve Carell, which he's done non-comedic roles, you know, and stuff. But this one's like a serious role, and it's like, oh man, I didn't expect that we could get this kind of acting and character out of Steve Carell.
You ever seen
I'm not surprised
Foxcatcher?
either. Oh yeah.
I was about to say, ever since Foxcatcher, I've known Steve Carell is
Foxcatcher.
Yeah, I'm just like, this man can act. He's been comedic, but this man, like ever since then. So I'm not, I'm not surprised. I'm like, hey, is this him getting back?
I mean, to some degree, I think Foxcatcher was him being like, "Please give me an Oscar." Like it was a little over the top.
True.
This is more muted and serious and real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So why shouldn't they be telling us all the things, Donnell?
So I have pretty much not watched anything but YouTube this last week.
I got you hooked on that History of Food channel.
I
Donnell.
watched that. Yep. Which I was going to talk a little bit about that. Is History of Food is phenomenal because it's
the Weird Food History channel.
Yeah.
Is the
Weird
name of the
Food History channel. And it just digs into so many things that
it takes you places you didn't expect.
Well, it's just I just love the amount of like I watched a thing about Jones Soda, which is a soda brand. Not everybody knows it, but I think it is nationwide now. But it's from here. It's local. It's from Washington
interesting.
soda and all stuff. And
I remember.
It's Vancouver, Canada. But
okay, gotcha.
it had a lot of ties with Washington. But anyways, yeah. So watching everything on Jones Soda and them going into some of the history of soda that also got into some like things where it's like adjacent or not even like it's the amount of history you get from watching something and like that is not about like I think the one actually I'll talk about is the food courts.
Oh yeah.
And
the mall food
they
courts.
explain to us where the name mall came from and how it's like so far separate from what the food court is because like mall comes from I got to see if I can remember correctly. It comes from a sport that is called pomoli.
Yeah.
And then the French started playing it and called it polymolly. And then it came over here, and it's like croquet, by the way. It's like croquet. Yeah. It's not, but it's like croquet. Over here, we started playing it, and so there was a place in New York where they're like, "Hey, we wanna play polymolly
out in the street."
In the street, so they literally shut down a block, and they're like, "Yeah, this block you can play polymolly," and they started calling the sport mall. We're playing mall, so that's the thing. And so then that block where they were playing mall at, they started referring to it as the mall. Then eventually people stopped playing mall, but they kept that block like, okay, well, hey, let's open up some stores. So that block in New York called the mall had a bunch of outdoor stores. So it was, and then the locations where streets were closed down for commercial shopping started being referred to as malls, but it was still all outdoors. And then eventually they started building buildings and putting all those stores inside, and they started calling those malls. And the fact that we got from playing a croquet-like sport over, I forget what country this even all started in. I think maybe Ukraine or Germany. I just know that France was the second country that really started playing it. But yeah, from some European country, a version of croquet to shopping centers in the States. I'm just like, just the leaps. And
it's an amazing channel and like the real in depth that they go into. Mm-hmm. It's like, we're gonna talk about French fries. Yeah. And it's gonna go back tens of thousands of years or something. It's gonna give us a real history and some real interesting information. Mm-hmm. And, such a great channel.
But two things. So I talked about this a little bit ago, or a few weeks ago, about these why it would suck to be an animal kind of channels.
Yeah.
So one is I've been noticing this trend. I want to talk about a few things. Trend of one of the staples of those channels is it's very like low tier art. And I think purposely they're not trying because I'm not trying to. I don't want to insult anybody. I think they're purposely trying to do this like they do stick figure art and simple animation to do this explanation thing. So one is more than just animals now. Now there's people out here doing like different history. Like there was this dude who's like why it would suck to be a knight why would it suck to be a knight? Why it'd be awesome to be a court jester and stuff. Same sort of art style. But now, like stuff, this other dude is doing called Serious History. Does all his history lessons with stick figure art, and he tells like the story like of one of like Joan of Arc and stuff. Yeah. So he does all that, and I'm just like, so everybody like it's just like I don't know where this trend started, but it's like it's really picking up all of a sudden.
I'll guarantee you, it's one company that owns all the channels, and they like if it feels the same. I mean, maybe there's like an original person.
Like, I think there's an original person. So here's the thing: I definitely, especially with what I'm going to talk about next, I definitely can agree that a lot of them feel the same. But there's also a lot of them. I think it's like, and once again, I'm not trying to insult it, but since it is such a simple art style, and especially because like animation tools and video making stuff has gotten so simple these days, I think a lot of people see it as like low hanging fruit.
Yeah,
in the sense of like, I think there was original maker out there somewhere
Yeah.
who started this and like did it. I think that there probably is some corporate
GCP Grey,
entity.
probably.
There probably is some corporate entity out there who's also making a bunch of these copycat channels.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there's a bunch because like some of them like very clearly it sounds like kind of not amateurish, but like you can tell like it's not like in a professional studio, someone at their desk or whatever. So it's like I think it's kind of a weird amalgamation of it's such a easy thing to do. Not once again, not trying to insult it, but I'm just saying overall, it's such an easy thing to do. And so it's a lot of people are saying like, hey, maybe this could be my way in. Sort of thing.
Man, I mean, as far as YouTube goes, I'm really into the videos where they do deep 3D technical breakdowns of things. Like we watched one about like the kamikaze torpedo.
Yeah, but
or like one where
steam engine
where they break down the steam. It's like
that one.
It's like an hour long,
Fantastic.
and I mean it goes through every nut and bolt of a steam engine.
And you don't. If you think you know anything about steam engine, you know diddly until you watch this video. Like I learned, I was like, I didn't even know that's how they worked. I didn't even understand what was going on.
I mean, there's no way like 10 years ago we had the tech to be able to like just pump out these high quality technical 3D animations of just like every nut and bolt of an airplane cockpit into an hour-long video explaining it in extreme detail. And there's a bunch of channels that are coming out like that that are just fantastic and fun to watch.
And so the other thing I want to talk about is another thing I've watched quite a few of is because I mean, not as much as I was like a year or two ago, but I'm still keeping up on some comics. I still like me some DC stuff, comics and stuff. And so there's this, and this is kind of where I think like I was saying how I feel like there's definitely like a originator. And then there's the corporate copy, and then also just the people who are imitating. Because there was this channel that I started seeing called The Explainer Comics, and he does videos like every some of the videos I watched of his like every Lantern Ring explained, and it's always in a certain amount of time. So every Lantern Ring explained in 15 minutes, every Child of Batman explained in 18 minutes, and basically just gives like a breakdown of just like different things in comics, essentially, in a list form. And so I watched a bunch of his stuff. His stuff is pretty good. And I feel like, I don't know for sure, he probably isn't the original person to do this, but I'm putting him down as the originator. His seems the most like authentic and original. Then popped up a channel called, where'd it go? Called The Everything.
Okay.
Does the exact same type of channels. Very, I won't say for sure AI, but very like generic, like voice.
Oh,
and
can we talk about AI for just 1 second?
Yeah.
Sidebar.
Is
I've been trying to find like audiobooks on YouTube, and there's so many audiobooks that are just AI read now, and they are terrible.
Yeah. No, I am so sick of just the AI being used for audiobooks is one thing. Also for me, it's closed captioning has gotten so much worse on so many shows. And I'm like, I don't have definitive proof, but I'm like, it seems like it's AI, and I don't know why you wouldn't use AI in the sense of like for ease. I know why you wouldn't, because it gets things wrong or messes stuff up so many times. It'll just like say the wrong word, and I'm just like, yeah, humans make mistakes too, but I feel like we're going through your proofreading. You probably have like someone does a closed captioning, and then you have somebody who reviews it and stuff. Where it's like AI, I just feel like they're just like throwing the episode in there. The AI watches it and just puts out whatever, and I'm just like, I'm so sick. Like, I'm so sick of bad captionings on shows.
Oh, see, I'm trying to do audiobooks of manga, and so it's like it'll get to like it'll be like instead of somebody saying like whoa, because it'll be like stylized in like a bunch of O's and A's, and so that the AI will be like what,
and you're just like. Yeah.
And I'm just like, could we not?
Yeah.
Could we not do that?
It's just annoying as hell.
But yeah, how I knew that the one that I most recently listened to is it was trying to say gourmet and it said gourmet.
Gourmet.
And I'm like, oh,
I love how many things it could. Yeah.
You did not know the French.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, as I was saying, there's this channel called The Everything. Does the exact same kind of videos about comic book characters and stuff. But like I said, very generic voice and very flat and all that stuff. Where I'm like, yeah, this is the corporate copy. And then I stumbled across one today, and it's called 1 minute story, which has nothing to do with anything. But this is definitely this is why I think this is a legit person, is because if you go to the 1 minute story channel, you can go in there and see like they had a different kind of content up until recently,
Yeah.
and they kind of pivoted to this, and then also like it just seems like a lot more like kind of just going for that easy, because like it's just so the reason why the two videos I want to compare is Explainer Comics did every evil Batman variant explained. And so it goes through like all the different evil Batmans and like gives a breakdown of what they like, who they are, if they had powers or not, right? 1 minute story did every evil Superman variant. And there are a lot of them, but I didn't know that the difference between evil Batman variants and evil Superman variants is evil Batman variants, because they're, Batman variants usually are differentiated by like, the Batman in Laugh is like crazy and chaotic and all this stuff. But there's other Batmans, like there's a Black Lantern Corpse Batman who has powers and stuff, where every evil Superman variant, guess what? They're all just Superman, but evil.
Yeah,
so in this video, they kept going like this, like they did Superman Red Sun. Like he shares the same powers as Superman, as super strength, flight, and laser vision. And then like Ultraman's like he shares the same powers as Superman. And you're just like, dude, we get it. Yes, all Superman variants are gonna be the same. And it's just like you could tell like this person's like, yeah, you don't know what you're doing. You're just coming to this, just trying to grab that low hanging fruit. And it's just one of the things like, and like I said, I get it. It's just how things
AI
are.
slop.
But no,
Corporate
it's
slop.
a real voice like for this one. Like
fair
I think this
enough,
is, and like I said, if you go to their channel, they had different kind of content. It's just them seeing what's working and be like, I got to try and get some of that. And that's where I'm like, I get everybody wants to get out there on the internet and they want to get out there and be known for something. But it's like, you can't just copy. You can't just copy. You got to find even if you want to do something similar, you got to find a way to make it your own. Because if you're just trying to do the same thing, you're always going to seem subpar compared to the originals and stuff. And it's like, this one video, like I said, it was just soda. It's like, yeah, you have no idea what you're doing. You're just out here. You saw them doing well, and like, well, I can do that too. It's like, this guy actually puts in the time where you're just trying to copy it.
Good artists make great artists copy.
right. Then I got a little bit of news is
Okay.
MCU news is. So there are talks, rumors. So Disney has finally settled, which I didn't know exactly. I still don't understand the full complexity, but has finally settled the rights where they now own, because he wasn't part of the Fox deal. He was separated. They now own the Hulk. So the reason why there hasn't been any Hulk solo movies is they were not, other than the one that they did with they were not allowed to do anymore, because the owners of the Hulk were like, nah, you can put them in movies and group up stuff, but stuff. Disney now owns the Hulk. They can do movies. So there are rumors and talks that one is it's already scheduled to be filming, even though it's not on the MCU slate, that they're looking to do, which would explain why at the end of She-Hulk, he shows up with his son. They're looking to do World War Hulk next.
They kind of already took that info though, where they had him on the game planet or whatever.
Exactly. No,
planet.
they that's what they're saying is like a lot of stuff that kind of comes in World War Hulk was partly done in Ragnarok, but they're saying that the idea is to not only do World War Hulk, but to start setting it up for Hulk to transition into I'm not sure if you know, is it I can't remember his name, but there's the evil variant of the Hulk.
Okay.
Who's like who's also like an old man, and his story comes after World War Hulk, and they want him to be the next big villain.
I thought World War Hulk ended with him becoming the Herald of Galactus.
He does become the Herald of Galactus
Because my memory of World War Hulk is he gets blasted away.
He gets banished.
He gets banished, on a rocket into space by Stark. And then he lands on a planet and becomes like he
becomes a gladiator.
A gladiator. He ends up leading a revolt and taking over the planet. He gets a wife. He gets some kids.
Yep.
Ends up going back to Earth.
Yep.
Killing everyone.
Yes.
And by everyone, literally everyone. And then the Galactus shows up, and he's like, I don't want to remember all these things that I've done. And Galactus wipes his memory and makes him his
herald.
His herald, and that's like the end of that universe.
Yeah.
Which would be a great place to end the MCU.
Yeah.
is having, Hulk just come and kill everybody. But I feel like you've got to do that in like a phase 9 or something.
Mhm.
I don't think we're ready for World War Hulk is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm a little bit in that boat too, but I will say the one thing that I'm excitedly excited for is the continuation of, like, even though it was a bad show, Echo is where this started, is not pulling their punches. And Echo went gritty and to too much in some sense, but went gritty and dark, and also went like with the violence extreme. And then we got Deadpool and Wolverine, and that continued it. And I'm not saying everything about comic book movies needs to be violence, but knowing when you need to have it and how to portray it is important. And then same with Daredevil, the trailer for it looks like they're not going to pull their punch. Like, they're not going to be like, oh, make it all, happy and stuff. And so with that continuation, because a story like World War Hulk, I'm like, you can't make that all happy and not like, no, Hulk needs to be a monster. He needs to be, and that sort of stuff. And so I'm just like, with the trend I've been seeing with Disney lately or the MCU and, that stuff, is they're allowing, they always have been, like, that's one thing I said since the beginning, is Marvel always has had a bigger lease than any of the other companies like Pixar, but they're really allowing them to kind of be their own thing and do their own thing without that whole Disney hand over them all the time. And I think that's important. And like I said, if the continuation, if World War Hulk is a thing and that is coming, like I said, if you would have told me they were making World War Hulk like during phase 2, I'd been like, like, they can't pull that off. Or now I'm like, I think Disney has shown that they're willing to allow them because they're making money.
I mean, they let Deadpool in,
Yeah,
so.
they're making money. That's the whole reason, of course, is the reason. But yeah, Disney is saying, hey, as long as you guys are making money, go for it. Rated R is not off the table anymore. Actually having, like, dark compelling storylines or that sort of stuff is no longer off the table, and I'm kind of excited about that for them.
Nice. I am too.
Yeah.
But I think that Brave New World's gonna suck.
No, oh yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I'm not looking forward to that.
But we will see it at the theaters.
Of course we will. Of course we will. We can't not.
All right, that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to check out our best of episode, and we got our Oscar episode coming up here pretty soon. We've got the Oscar noms are out. And
I gotta start watching them.
It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be real rough.
Not as rough as I think. Like I said, there's a couple on the Oscar noms that I'm actually like, hey, I'm looking forward to a little bit. Like, there's actually one on there. I won't say yet. That'll be for the Oscar episode. But there's one on there that was like, I was thinking of checking out even without the Oscars, which is a rarity. Most of the time the Oscar noms, unless it's like something that, like, most of the time the Oscar noms are like, I'm like, man, I might not. But yeah. Anyways. Yeah.
Bye.